one. All right, welcome back to our episode here of Fan Factory. We have a special guest on today from the Altrunite Foundation. We have Tolk Borks here with us to kind of give us a rundown of what they're doing in New York. He's working with some pretty cool people too, so welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, guys. It's a pleasure to be here. I really appreciate you sparing us some time to spread our awareness.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, you slid in those DMs of mine, and I'm like, yeah, we don't mind doing that. I mean, for us, like our big thing is with this podcast is obviously it's a fan-driven podcast, but with fans comes growing the game, and it kind of seems like that's what you guys are kind of doing with your foundation. So why don't you kind of give us a little background on what you guys got going on?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of integrated a little bit of the best of both worlds. We took our die-hard fandom and kind of created a little something special within the community. So how we started was we started cultivating face masks out of our own t-shirts and jerseys. Keep in mind that any of these masks are not screen printed or heat pressed. What we done was simply cut out the logos, the numbers, the names of the players. So we took an already licensed product and simply repurposed it. We started selling them to fans, and with the leftover material, started donating them to essential employees, hospital, EMS stations, fire stations, but primarily the hospitals when they couldn't be found last March. It kind of took off a little bit. Some ex-NHLers, some athletes took notice. Even before the qualifying rounds versus Carolina, the New York Rangers team gave us a call to provide them with some masks before they ship out to Toronto. So we made them pretty cool special masks. Each player got one, and the coaching staff, and they were featured on TV and social media platform, all social media platforms rather. Sorry. So it was a pretty cool experience to see something that my team and I created for the team that we love and follow. So yeah, that was pretty cool, and that's how we started out. Yeah.
So like, did you guys? So this all started because of COVID. Like you guys started
Absolutely.
this because of COVID.
Yeah, exactly. So we kind of took the best out of the worst and converted it into something in the form of giving back. So yeah, exactly. I mean, giving back within my family and the New York Rangers fans in particular has always been something pretty big, starting from Adam Graves and Mark Messier, players of that stature. That's who we kind of took notice and stood behind. So Adam Graves is the gold standard for the New York Rangers of anything to do with charity. And he's actually, he gave us a call in the midst of our efforts, and which was, I mean, you know, one of the guys you see hoisting the Stanley Cup in 1994, and he's giving you a call and providing some advice, which was amazing. So he partnered up with us. He runs a foundation by the name of Smile Zone. They convert and remodel and build hospital setting rooms for children for their primary care providers and their physicians or their specialists. They integrate like iPads and murals, so little cool things while the kids wait. So yeah, so that was pretty cool.
That's great. And then I'm looking behind you there. Is that your fam all dressed up in their Rangers blue?
Yeah, I don't have much. I don't hang up jerseys or any kind of little New York Rangers tchotchkes, or I don't have a cool background, but I do have a cool family photo of us in New York Rangers. It's a little tacky, but to me, you know, it means the world that my kids, while growing up, get to put on a jersey along with my wife. So obviously it was my idea, but it's a photo I hold near and dear to my heart. So I kind of keep it behind me.
I mean, you kind of look like Ryan Callahan in that photo. So I got to give you that.
Think so?
You got that C and everything. So a little bit.
Yeah. Actually, my favorite player of mine. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's a hard worker. Yeah, I love him.
He is, and he's from Rochester, so he's a native New Yorker.
Absolutely. Tolik, talk to us a little bit about, you know, how you became a Rangers fan. You know what, you know, obviously running this foundation, getting picked up by the Rangers had to have been like, that was probably what you had in mind, and it came to fruition like so quickly. So can you talk to us a little bit like how you became a Rangers fan? Like what were some of your favorite Rangers memories?
Yeah, I mean, immigrating into this country from St. Petersburg, Russia, I mean, we're huge hockey fans to begin with in my country, former USSR. The Red Army hockey team dominated the 70s, 80s, and 90s. So 8 years old, came here in 1992, 2 years thereafter, hoisted the Stanley Cup 1994. I mean, and ever since then, it was that. You're a little kid and you think the team plays out there for you. And then watching them lift the cup, that's so tough to do. It just kind of, it stuck. So Die Hard is probably an understatement for myself. It became a part of you. You know, if I would see a celebrity in the street, I would think nothing of it. But if I see an ex New York Ranger or current New York Ranger, you know, I'm starstruck. These are the guys you see work so hard. And me as a kid looking up to these guys, they kind of stay with me. So we're trying to do the same thing with our foundation. So yeah.
So go ahead, Lyle.
I was gonna say, like, you know, now that, knock on wood, we're kind of coming out of COVID. You know, things are getting better, you know, across the country. Like, where do you kind of see your foundation kind of pivoting when it comes to you know, assisting? You know, right now I'm looking on your website, and you guys are obviously partnering with Adam Graves and Smile Zone. Do you have any plans kind of post COVID as to where this is headed?
Oh my God, great question. And I'm glad you brought that up. We are so much more than face masks. So face masks and medical supply donation to our local hospital and organizations was just something we started out with. So primarily what we're doing now is collecting secondhand and new sports equipment. Obviously, we're hockey derived. So we started with that to underserved communities and underprivileged families. So if there's a family or a rink and organization that can't afford the equipment, and you guys know how expensive that equipment may be, and how fast kids grow out of that equipment, what we do is we collect that equipment for more privileged individuals or organizations and deliver them to families that simply can't afford them. We also raise funds to provide for registration and cost fees for those seasons. Again, we're derived for hockey at the moment, but we're looking into getting into dance, art, performing arts, music. So any extracurricular activities for children, or maybe after school programs. So that's our main focus. Mask is kind of like what we're known for. It gave us a wonderful stepping stone and a great platform to continue to feed off from our following. But our main focus is to have children engaged and involved within those programs all the way throughout high school. We believe it can leave them with a sense of focus, determination, and mostly it's teamwork. A kid grows up, you know, with discipline and teamwork. I think they're set for life, whether they stay with that sport or program or not. Those are important lessons to take into life.
I love that.
So is this your full-time job? Or do you have another job? Are you doing this on the side? How's that all going?
Yes, I do have. I'm coming off of 2 jobs right now. I took a little step back from one of them, so I do have just one job. It is not a full-time position, but that's the big dream. So Lyle asked me before, was this kind of like you knew you were going to reach the Rangers? No, of course we didn't, but that was the goal. We set a goal for ourselves. We were just selling masks to fans. With hopes of even reaching one NHLer. We reached out to him, we got it. The dream was to eventually, you know, work with the New York Rangers organization. We made a couple phone calls, months and months later, went down the line, we finally did it. So we set goals for ourselves, and we're determined to reach them. So yeah, it's the main goal is to have this as my 9 to 5 or my family's 9 to 5. And after that 5 o'clock hits, I can spend a little time with my family and do exactly what I'm doing for my own kids, what I do for the community. So that's the big goal. And but if anybody thinks this not-for-profit is a part-time gig on the side, doing podcasts, having articles or social media, raising, it's not. It's a full-time job. So I kind of have to do this on these kind of times at 7 p.m. in my own house. So yeah.
So I'm assuming you've obviously been to the Garden. What is so different about the Garden than any other arena to you?
Well, let me tell you something cool. I was actually one of the 2,000 fans that was at the Garden this past Sunday. There's no place like Garden. I mean, I know it sounds a little tacky, and they call it the world's most famous arena, but it is absolutely electrifying. I mean, you walk into that arena and you just feel history. You even kind of feel the music, the equipment that they have set up there. It's like a place like no other. It doesn't have to necessarily have to be a sporting event. I've been to I like the Jingle Ball over there. I've been to music concerts over there. It's absolutely extraordinary, and you feel and you feed off that energy there. So, but to be back in a safe state of mind, let me tell you, they were keeping people safe there.
Well, yeah. Why don't you go into that a little bit for us and kind of give us in the eyes of a fan on what it's like going to a live sporting event now, what's different, how that felt.
Yeah, so I mean, all of the tickets and all of the temperatures, and you had to provide a negative PCR COVID exam, which is absolutely fantastic. You need to know as a fan going into these sporting events nowadays that individuals are negative. You are spread out quite drastically between one another. But another pretty good thing that I thought was some fans think of it as pain in the butt, but ushers are literally hawk-eyeing you to see if you're going to put down your mask, So yes, we were putting it down to take a sip of our adult beverage or a cold one. And he would point to you or come up to you and say, put that back on. Only if you're drinking, yes, I understand. You could put down your mask. But if you're doing anything else, that mask has to stay on you. So I felt rather safe, to be honest with you. So the mask have to be worn at all times while walking from seat to seat or to the restroom. So, I mean, yeah, I didn't even think that they would be back, to be honest. I thought throughout this COVID and when the numbers were spiking, I thought everything was going to be we weren't going to have sports. We weren't going to have hockey. So, but we have fans now, it's about 10%. So it's pretty cool to be back there. So, yeah.
That is cool.
So
Yep.
we talk a lot about what we call big game buzz on the show. So, it's that feeling when you're just walking into a building, all the fans are around you, everyone's kind of hype, everyone might have a couple drinks in them. There's just that feeling that something exciting is about to pop off. Did you feel that on Sunday night, even though it was 2,000 people rather than 20?
It was, I have to be honest, yes, it was a little bit different because it was a little quieter. You don't have 18,500 fans there screaming before. I mean, even when we do our national anthem, Rangers scream, "Let's go Rangers," while that artist or whomever it may be is singing the national anthem. So I didn't quite feel that noise, that excitement. But I think it's more on a personal level. It's great to be back, so to speak. Yes, there was noise. So yes, it wasn't the same, but just to walk back in there after a whole year, it's kind of, you feel satisfied. You feel like, yes, I'm finally back home. And that's exactly how I felt.
Now, are you a season ticket holder?
Unfortunately, no. This was a gift from a dear friend, from a season ticket holder. I am not. There's no way I had the time. I used to live in Brooklyn, in the city, but I am now in Albany, in the capital region. So that's about a 3.5 hour drive. So,
yep.
Where do you live in Albany?
Quite often. There's no way I can afford it, nor make the time, especially with 3 boys now, to make the trips down there for those games.
Where do you live? What do you live in Albany, or do you live in what suburb? Or
yeah, in the Rotterdam Schenectady suburb. So it's about 15 minutes away. Yeah.
Lyle and I used to work in Albany. We worked for the hockey team there years ago.
The Devils?
Yeah.
The Albany Devils, yeah.
Yeah, they've moved now. They're in Binghamton.
Yep.
Yeah, that was ages ago, right, Lyle? 10 years almost now?
They moved because Adam and I stopped working there. So once we stopped working there, they had nobody to sell tickets for them anymore.
Yeah, we attended a game. It was pretty cool. Obviously, we wore a jersey, so yeah.
Probably sold you tickets. I guess I got like 2 questions. One's like personal, but like you said that you came over from Russia. Like, what was that like moving? And like, is it a culture shock coming to like a big city? Like at the time you were living in New York City, or like how crazy is that to move somewhere and you've not like move to America and then kind of falling in love with a sport like hockey again, but in a different way, I guess, right?
Huge transition. I remember even as an 8-year-old, I mean, the things that, simply just a bottle of Coca-Cola. It's the small things, that we couldn't access there. Like even a banana, like, wow, we got like a dozen bananas. It's crazy. It's crazy to think, but it's just what I remember. Bananas. It could have been anything, but like a 2-liter bottle of Pepsi Cola standing on a table just like that for everyone to share the drink. pizza. It's just these little things you remember as a little kid that you're not able to get there. Former USSR was very stringent, very strict rules. So coming here to the land of the free, where you can access, almost anything if you have the funds. So it was very, very different. I mean, obviously, since then, the government has changed. The Iron Curtain has fell. Things are a little bit better now. And when I say little bit, they're a little bit, So Vladimir Putin is over there. I mean, it's one of the most expensive countries in the world to live now. Cities, I may say, Moscow. It's number 2, but right behind Japan. So, I mean, huge change. I remember from my parents, they came here with, only a couple of dollars in their pocket and support from some of the family members. I probably didn't have a pair of skates, gloves, or pads or anything. Into my teens. So we can personally relate to what we do within our community for these children, because I know what that's like of loving the sport, wanting to play it. We play street hockey. We made equipment out of foam, out of out of things we found around the house. I remember going to Modell's back then and just building our own sticks out of the plastic casings,
Mm-hmm.
So it took quite a while for us to get on our feet from one country to the other, but I don't really remember learning the language because it came so quick. It's that perfect age you can transition, but I remember not taking things for granted, so I still kind of live like that.
Do you follow the KHL at all? Do you have a team over there that you like, or you kind of just distance yourself from that completely, or?
No, absolutely, I do. SKA, so St. Petersburg, where Shesterkin's from, former Leningrad. The jerseys are pretty much all 3 or 4 jerseys are very identical to the Rangers. So, and a lot of the players that played there, including Igor Shesterkin that plays for us, is from that team. So, I don't really follow them, but I keep, I follow them on Twitter and Instagram. So I keep up to date, but I don't really watch the games. Highlights here and there, the players that are there. That's pretty much it. But
I think I know one more question, Lyle, that you can fill in here, but I think what's crazy about Rangers fans, and I think I need you to sell them to me, because you haven't won a Stanley Cup since 1994. Mm-hmm. And you seem to be one of the most diehard fan bases. They don't go away. You guys are loud. You still think you're the best, even though the Devils have more cups than you in most recent years. The Islanders play pretty well, but kind of tell me what that mantra is and what that swag that you guys have is. It's different than other fan bases.
Because we simply don't care about anyone else. We don't care. We chatter and we chirp the Islanders and the Devils, but we don't care. We care about our team. They care more about us because I don't know. I don't know what it is, but we just don't care. We care about our team. We care about our fans. We care about making our own noise. Screw the suits that walk into any other arena. We care about the jersey wearing, blue bleeding fans, the true diehards, and we stick together, and we uphold a tight bond. So we just don't care. We're New Yorkers, we walk the street, and the
Rangers have that Yankees swag of it doesn't matter how bad the Rangers are, they can still probably go out and sign the top free agent, right? Yeah. The year that you signed Panera, you guys are coming off one of your worst seasons ever, right? And he Absolutely. still came. So you guys have that swag, and I think it just falls from the team down to the fan base of just the not give a shit feeling. We don't care about the Devils, we don't care about the Islanders. We'll just do our own thing. So I'll toss it over to our resident Devils fan now and see if he has any questions.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as a Devils fan, I cannot stand that swag. I think it's the most preposterous swag there is. Makes absolutely no sense to me, especially considering we've got 3 Stanley Cups since the last one. Yeah. Right. It's similar to the Knicks though, right? What's crazy about the Knicks, and across the street you have the Nets, who have Durant, Harden, and Kyrie. Three of the top 5 players in the NBA.
Yep.
And there is not one person in New York that gives a shit about the Knicks. But we posted a video the other night on our Instagram page of these Knicks fans going crazy after they won.
Can you believe that? That was awesome. I know.
And it's like, okay, these guys are 17-7. The Nets are like about to win the NBA championship this year,
Yep.
and there's not a soul that cares. And it's that same swagger. It's James Dolan has, as evil as a human being as that guy is, has done something to. He caught magic in a bottle with the fans that he has, and they're loyal.
Let's talk about Dolan. Like, do you want him to sell the team? Or are you are Rangers fans more pro Dolan than, obviously, more than Knicks fans, right?
No, I mean, to be quite honest with you, and I'll be very bluntly honest with you, I don't follow that business politics. I don't know much about Dolan. I know Knicks and Ranger fans absolutely can't stand him. I can't. I mean, I've seen some crazy videos of him. Literally ejecting fans out of the arenas because they were literally chirping him and saying some nonsense. I mean, other than that, I honestly don't know much about him. Haven't read much about his history. I know his something to do with his dad. I mean, is he, as an owner, is he leading? I don't think he has. He has people to form his teams and to build them to what they are. I don't think, like, what does he have to do other than be the owner of the team? Like, he sits there and he watches the games, and people think, "Oh my God, Dolan's, you suck. Sell the team, sell the organization." The owner of former Cablevision, like, I don't think he has people for that. I mean, you're the Don. You have your team's presidents, your managers, so on and so forth. I think they're doing the majority of the work.
I think most of the frustration from Rangers fans has been geared more towards Glenn Sather than Dolan, because I think Dolan's pretty disenfranchised from the Rangers for the most part. I think he's more of a face for the Knicks.
Right.
But no, it's funny. I mean, I grew up on Long Island, and you grow up with Islanders, Rangers, Devils fans, kind of just all there in too small of a space to contain themselves. And my best memories were going to Devils Rangers games or Islanders Rangers games, and
those are the best ones.
The intensity in those buildings, like there's nowhere else in this country that can replicate that in anything. I mean, even as a Mets fan, like Mets Yankees games, those get pretty intense too. But again, it's that same part of the country. It's the same people, for the most part, that are given that energy. So I mean, that's what makes the New York sports scene just so great and unique.
Well, you have good vibes, Tolik. Like, I wish I had your fan vibes. Like, you stay out of the politics of being a sports fan and you just enjoy the game. Like, I'm the complete opposite, and it's like, that's the vibes I want, though. It's just to be like, I don't care who my owner is. You don't even have to ask me who my owner is. I just enjoy what I'm watching. So that's cool. That's very cool.
Yeah, I absolutely cannot stand it. As you can see, what happened with, it's a perfect example with the whole Nazarov, Panarin, Ovechkin situation. I mean, like, an athlete has no place to speak about politics as a professional. I mean, yes, you have your views, but I mean, as a professional current athlete, you have no place to start a podcast. Stop. I mean, you can literally, your own fan base can disown you based on a political opinion or political view. Like Tony D'Angelo. Absolutely no place for that in sports, at least while you're a current player. You're supposed to build up a fan base, not disown it. So yeah, I'd rather stay the hell out of there and just,
What's your favorite? We'll end on some fun stuff here. Like, what's your favorite Rangers jersey? Is it the one that you have behind you with your kids? Or is it the lighter blue, or is it the Statue of Liberty?
Oh, you mean like in regards to the material logo design jersey?
Yeah.
I mean, my favorite is the 94, the white jersey, the one they won the cup with the patch, which I own the Richter of. I mean, growing up, I was natural forward. I transitioned to a goaltender about 10 years ago. So I idolized Richter and Wayne Gretzky and Mark Messier, those three in particular. But yeah, of course, when in 1996, I believe, is when that Liberty came out. I mean, that jersey holds a lot of good memories for me, especially. Good. Yeah. So I don't own the new one yet. I do have the older one.
So favorite player would be Richter then?
Player, a Ranger or a hockey player all the time?
Ranger.
I would say Alexei Kovalev,
Ooh,
Mr. Russian Dangle.
Yep.
Yeah. Did you ever get to meet him?
I did not. I have not. I've met a lot of Russian players, and there's a Russians in Brighton Beach in South Brooklyn have like the Turkish bathhouses, like they're called banas, like like the steam rooms and where there's pool. So there's a couple places in Brooklyn where a lot of the Russians start, like Zubov, Nemchinov, Karpatsev. I met all of them, but Kovalev, the guy that I love with the moves, is the only one that I've never met, and I know he was easily accessible. It just wasn't in the stars, but yeah, that's my guy.
So just one last question I have for you. So just curious, because I'm craving going to an arena. Haven't been to an arena in over a year now. What was the food choice? What did we have? Do we have a hot dog at Madison Square Garden? Do we have a beer? Do we have a pretzel? What do we have going on?
Nah, man, I'm very, very economical when it comes to food. We ate and had a beer prior to that, and I'll give him a nice shout out, Molly Wee. But yes, I did have a couple of beers, a couple of cold ones while we were there. And it was probably one of the most satisfying $15 beers I've had. I had a couple, so $30 for two 24-ounce when I could have gotten probably a 30 pack for $20. But
they just taste better with that Zamboni exhaust and the ice and the cold. It just always tastes better. The smell inside, and it just makes it better.
Here's the cool thing about Madison Square Garden and the events when they did go on. A fun fact for you guys: draft beer is delivered prior to an event on a daily basis. Pretty much just like you see those Budweiser commercials on those horses, the barrels are delivered for every single event. So, I mean, this time around, they weren't serving draft. They were serving those big, tall boy cans, and you had to pour it in the cup yourself. So that's what we did. But the draft beer, it'll hit you right away, pretty much. Any brand, any flavor, it just hits differently.
What was I got one more.
You can't feel too bad about drinking those $15 beers when it's been a year since going there. So you save some dough along the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you remember?
Took back those little cups that we had another drink at the end.
There you go.
Do you remember your first Rangers game at Madison Square Garden?
Yeah, and it actually wasn't even a Ranger game. It was Russia versus USA, where Richter stood on his head throughout that whole tournament, and they won. So the first game at Madison Square Garden was USA versus Russia, which they lost 2-5. So yeah, it was that year when USA won.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Well, Tolik, we really, really appreciate you coming on here. You've spoken with some pretty high-ranking folks on the New York media scene, so we appreciate you giving us some of your time as well. And we're definitely going to help plug you as much as we can. Why don't you go ahead and tell everyone where they can find you, and again, maybe a quick, refresher as to everything you guys do.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, just to reiterate, the name of our nonprofit organization, our children's hockey-derived nonprofit organization, is Altrunite. ALTRUNITE. Altrunite.com. ALTRUNITE.com. You can definitely find us on all social media platforms. I'm sure everyone nowadays is very savvy. It's at Altrunite, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We have a cool little TikTok account that we created. Just Google search us. You'll find a bunch of stuff, a bunch of stories about us, articles that were written, some pretty good community, educational, humanitarian feel-good stories. So that's our sole purpose at this time, is to simply spread awareness and to move into other communities. And just as much as we take in, it goes out. Like I said, we just partnered up with a cool organization by the name of Hockey Foundation. They donated 10 pallets of new and used hockey equipment, children's hockey equipment.
That's great.
So we're currently looking for rinks and families. So if there's any listeners today, if you have any rinks or anyone to put us in touch with, we'll be more than happy to provide these children with this equipment. 10 pallets. There's hundreds of kids will benefit from this. So, and also we're looking for sponsors, partners, and individuals that are looking to join our nonprofit to continue with our efforts in regards to monetary funds. So yeah.
So that can all be found around the website too. If someone's interested in partnering up with you, they can go right to the website and find that.
Absolutely. There is on the donate button, there is a little form where you can write us a little letter or a little paragraph. Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, awesome.
Altrunite.com.
We really appreciate you hopping on with us. Our listeners are pretty good people. They helped out a couple weeks ago in Dallas when we had some issues down there where Lyle lives. So we'll definitely pass this along, and we really appreciate you hopping on. And I'm glad you're getting to do something that's kind of fun, and also you're giving back to the community, and it's good to be a part of your passion project with your team. So we appreciate you coming on, bud.
Absolutely. And like I said, stay in touch. You'll start to see our name within a year, 2, 3. We have some big goals and some big attributes, which we will attain. So
awesome. Thank you.
I'm looking forward to it.
All right, guys. Thank you, Adam and Lyle. I really appreciate it.
Thanks,
no
man.
problem. Bye.